Hey guys, imagine this. You're 20, barely trained, barely awake. You haven't eaten a real meal in days. And now you're strapped inside a cockpit built from aluminum and optimism, flying a plane that's already obsolete. Your fingers are trembling on the stick. Your boots are soaked in fuel. You're sweating through your flight suit, even though it's freezing at 10,000 feet. There's a crack in the canopy. The oxygen mask smells like rubber and panic. And the guy on your wing just disappeared in a puff of smoke and fire. This isn't Top Gun. There's no dramatic soundtrack. There's no backup. You're 15,000 feet in the air, and the enemy is better trained, better equipped, and way more pissed off than you are. Your plane? It's a Curtiss P-36 Hawk. It wasn't designed for this. Neither were you. But here you are anyway, climbing, turning, fighting, dying probably in the next few minutes. This is the war. Not the medals, not the parades, just noise, fear, and the sound of your own breath trapped inside a metal box hurtling through the sky. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, give it a like and subscribe. It helps us keep making them. Now close your eyes. You're not in your bed anymore. You're in the sky. And there's something on your tail. You don't wake up gently. Not out here. There's no warm sunlight, no soft blanket, no smell of breakfast drifting in from the next room. There's just cold air, metal, oil, and the shriek of someone yelling, "Briefing in 5." You blink. Once. Your eyelids feel like sandpaper. Your throat's dry. Your hands are already shaking. You're sitting on a folding cot in a canvas tent that smells like mildew, sweat, and burned coffee. It's barely dawn. The sky outside is bruised grey and leaking cold light through the flaps. Your boots are under the bed, soaked from last night's rain. You've slept in your uniform again. It's not a choice. It's a habit now. You reach for your flight jacket. It's stiff. Smells like gasoline. One sleeve's ripped at the cuff. You throw it on anyway. Then you lace your boots and stand up too fast. Bad move. Your head spins. Too little sleep. Too much fear. You take a breath and cough. The air bites your lungs. Someone outside is already swearing about the cold. Another guy's chain-smoking and laughing like today's not going to happen. You wish you had that confidence. You don't. You haven't since your second mission. Since you watched Mason take a hit, spiral into a hillside, and vanish like a sentence that never finished. You unzip the tent and step outside. The airfield is mud. Mud and noise and motion. Ground crews running between birds. Pilots pacing. Planes coughing awake in bursts of smoke and thunder. And there it is, your plane. The Curtiss P-36 Hawk. Squat, sleek, a relic with wings. They call it the Mohawk sometimes. You don't. You just call it hers. Because if you're flying her today, you're putting your life in her hands. She's not fast. Not armoured. Not built for the kind of war you're flying. But she climbs like a scared cat and turns on a dime. Which is good. Because when the Messerschmitts show up, turning might be all you've got. You head to the command tent. The briefing room is small, cramped, packed with men trying to look calm. They're not. One's tapping his knee like he's trying to keep rhythm with his heartbeat. Another's scribbling something in a notebook. You know what it is. It's not notes. It's a letter. Just in case. The CO steps up. He's not dramatic, not loud. He points at a chalkboard with a map, a route, some arrows, and a lot of red circles. This is your zone. Enemy aircraft expected here, and here. Avoid if you can, engage if you have to. He says it like he's telling you where to find the cafeteria. He's done this 100 times. You haven't. You nod anyway. He finishes. Questions? No one speaks. he adds quieter this time. Keep your heads on a swivel and good luck. That's the part that scares you most. The way luck is always the last instruction. You walk back out into the cold. Your crew chief's waiting by the Hawk. She's prepped, fueled, armed. 6.30 caliber Brownings, 2 in the nose, 4 in the wings. Not much. Not against what the Germans are flying now. But enough. Maybe. You climb up the ladder, slide into the cockpit. The seat is narrow, smells like rubber and steel and yesterday's fear. You strap in. 5 buckles, 2 shoulder, 1 lap, 2 more across the chest. You can't move much now. That's the point. Your helmet's too tight. Your goggles are fogged. Your gloves are stiff with sweat from the last sortie. You adjust the stick. Cold metal in your hand. Like shaking hands with death and pretending it's fine. The ground crew signals. You prime the engine. Switches flick. Throttle moves. Magnetos on. And then contact. The engine roars. Rattles. Coughs. Catches. The prop spins into a blur, and the plane vibrates like it's shaking off a bad dream. You're moving now. Not fast, just taxiing. But every second closer to the runway is another brick on your chest. Your breath fogs the inside of your mask. You don't wipe it. You just stare ahead, eyes locked on the strip, pretending that you're ready. You're not. The control tower gives the signal. 1 green flash. Clear to go. You nudge the throttle. The plane responds like it's waking up angry. The wheels bounce once, twice, then the ground falls away. And you're airborne. Climbing. Rising into a sky that doesn't want you. The Hawk climbs like it's got something to prove. You don't. You're just trying not to screw up. Your gloves creak against the stick. The sun's just starting to break the horizon, but it doesn't look like sunrise. It looks like someone lit the sky on fire and then ran out of fuel halfway through. You level off at 10,000 feet. The engine hums like it knows something you don't. Which is probably true. The cockpit is tight. Claustrophobic. There's no space for second thoughts up here. You look down and instantly regret it. The ground is a blur, a distant smear of brown and green that feels like it belongs to someone else's planet. There's no safety down there, not for you, not for anyone. The canopy rattles. Wind leaks in through gaps the mechanics swore were sealed. Your oxygen mask itches. You ignore it. You check your instruments again. Altimeter's steady. RPM holding. Oil pressure's twitchy, but what else is new? The P-36 isn't glamorous. It's not famous. It's the kid who got invited to the war party because everyone else was busy. No armour, no self-sealing tanks. 6 guns. 2 of them jam if you look at them wrong. She's light, fast in a dive, and she handles like a dream right up until the moment she decides not to. You run through the checklist in your head. You've done it 100 times. But repetition is the only religion up here. Throttle, check. Trim, close enough. Guns, armed. Not that you want to use them. Not that you will have a choice. You shift your weight, your parachute digs into your back. It always does. It's not comfort. It's not a guarantee. It's a maybe. Your eyes scan the horizon. Nothing but blue and blur. That's what's wrong. Because when you see nothing, it usually means something's already seen you. Your wingman radios in. You good? You click the mic. I'm vertical and breathing. He chuckles. For now. That's the joke. Always for now. You glance at the wings. The sun catches the metal dings, scratches, old paint patched with newer paint. Every chip tells a story. Most of them end with a crash. You remember what the mechanic said last night? Don't push her past 15,000. She'll scream at you. You're at 14,500 now. And yeah, she's already starting to whine. You ease off. The nose dips just enough to let the engine breathe. The Hawk hates altitude. She's a low fighter, a brawler. She was born before anyone really knew what dogfighting meant, before energy retention was a thing, before the enemy started putting cannons in the wings instead of machine guns. The Hawk was built for a war that stopped existing around 1939. Too bad no one told the Hawk. You roll right. Feel the plane respond like it's part of your body. There's a weird intimacy to it, this metal beast that only respects you if you treat her like a dance partner. Force her, and she bites. Ease her through it, and she'll keep you alive, maybe. You test the guns, short burst. Pop, pop, pop. Left wing, good. Right wing, jammed. You curse. Flip the breaker. Try again. Still jammed. Of course. You radio it in. Control says, acknowledge. If you get into trouble, use evasive, stay low, stay fast. No, we'll get you back. No, you'll be fine. Just don't get hit. Classic. You roll back into formation. Your wingman gives you a lazy thumbs up. You nod, even though your stomach's tying itself in knots. Because here's the thing no one tells you about being a Hawk pilot. The plane wants you to survive, but only if you play by its rules. And the rules suck. Rule #1. Never climb unless you have to. The engine's good, but not great. You climb too hard, she chokes. You stall and gravity starts writing your obituary. Rule #2. Never turn left under 200 knots. She'll snap roll, and if you're low, that's a lawn dart manoeuvre. Rule #3. Never dogfight a 109. Ever. Their climb rate makes you look like a cow with wings. You get in a turning fight, you're dead. Zoom and boom, or don't bother showing up. You learned that one the hard way. 2 weeks ago, you and Conway were sent to intercept a recon flight. 2 109s showed up instead. Conway turned. You dove. You watched his canopy burst, watched the smoke pour out, watched him spiral into a forest like a matchstick tossed by God. They never found him. Just his scarf still tangled in a tree. You reach out and tap the canopy twice. Superstition. Habit. Stupid. But you do it anyway. You look down again. There's a river, thin and crooked. A line of trees. A village, maybe. Just dots now. Little boxes with roofs. Somewhere a dog is barking and someone's pouring coffee. They don't know you're up here. They don't care. And part of you envies them. You scan the horizon again. Still nothing. But your gut's starting to go cold. That's another rule, not for the Hawk for you. If your gut says turn, you turn. Instinct is louder than the radio. It's the only warning you'll get. You bank right, slow, smooth, and that's when you see it. A flicker, flash, a glint off a canopy. 2 o'clock high, another one just behind. You don't need binoculars. You know what they are. Messerschmitts, yellow nose like a wasp. Fast, agile, hungry. You radio in. Contacts bearing 0302, maybe 3. Control, copy, intercept if able. If able. Another way of saying if you think you'll make it back. You exhale. Tighten the straps. Check your guns again even though you know the right wing's still out. You turn toward them anyway. Because this is the job. This is the war. You're in a Hawk. And the Hawk doesn't win by force. It wins by staying alive. You don't think about dying. Not directly. It's not a conscious thing like, oh, today's the day I explode into a million pieces over occupied France. It's more like a hum, a low-frequency dread that lives under your skin. It crawls up your spine every time the engine stutters, every time the radio crackles, every time you glance left and realise you're alone again. Your gloves are soaked, not from rain, not from sweat, from both. The stick slides a little in your grip and you adjust your hand like that'll somehow make you a better pilot. It won't. The Messerschmitts are still out there. You lost sight of them after that last turn. They were 2 specks, then 1, then none. Now they're ghosts. Somewhere above you, or behind you, or nowhere. You don't know, and not knowing is worse than seeing them. You scan the sky, slowly, deliberately. Can't afford to jerk the stick. Not in the Hawk, not at this speed. She's light but temperamental. One wrong move and you're not flying anymore, you're falling. The cockpit feels smaller now, like the air's closing in, like the straps are too tight. You want to unbuckle one, just for a second, but you don't, because that's how it starts. 1 second of comfort, one shortcut, and the next thing you know, you're trying to eject through a closed canopy with a burning parachute on your back. You clench your jaw and breathe through your nose. Focus. You check your 6. Clear. But your gut still says wrong. The Hawk hums beneath you. Steady. Calm. Like she doesn't know she's outclassed by half the Luftwaffe. You whisper to her like always. Come on, girl, don't break on me. You don't know if she listens. But you say it anyway. You glance at your wingman's position. Empty. He was there 5 minutes ago. Now? Radio's dead, or he is. Either way, you're alone. That's when you notice the flicker again. 3 o'clock low, quick, shallow. A shimmer of glass, a sliver of shadow. You bank right, gentle at first. Eyes locked. Breath shallow. There. Confirmed. 1 bogey, climbing. You pull harder. The G's hit you like a gut punch. Your vision tightens, tunnel forming. Not blackout, not yet, but you feel it. You flip the switch, arm the guns. Click. 1 wing armed, 1 still out. Doesn't matter. You'll take what you've got. You dive. Not full throttle, just enough to get speed. The air screams past the canopy. Wind buffets the wings. You're pushing the Hawk harder than you should. But it's this, or nothing. The bogey sees you, starts to turn. And suddenly, it's a dance. Not elegant, not rehearsed. Clumsy, violent, deadly. He banks left. You follow. He climbs. You hesitate, bad move. You lose sight. He's behind you now. You pull hard, too hard, the stick fights back. The Hawk groans. Metal flexes. You hear a rattle behind the seat. Something loose. Doesn't matter. You level out, eyes darting, breathing like you just sprinted a mile. Then tracer fire. Left side. Bright orange slashes past the canopy. You roll, instinct, training, desperation. 1 round hits the fuselage. Loud. Not a punch, more like a hammer. You don't look back. You drop altitude fast. Skimming treetops. Branches blur beneath you. Birds scatter. The world narrows to airspeed and instinct. Then you see it. A break. A clearing. You yank the stick back fast, sharp, borderline suicidal. The Hawk groans again but follows. You climb just in time. He overshoots. The Messerschmitt flashes past your canopy like an angry thought. You see the pilot. Helmet, goggles, cold expression. Just a job. You bank hard, chase. Now you're on his tail, and you've got about 8 seconds to make it count. Your sight lines up. You thumb the trigger. Pop, pop, pop. Only 3 guns fire. The right wing still won't join the party, but you get lucky. 2 rounds hit, 1 sparks off his wing. The other punches through the fuselage. He wobbles, starts to roll. Smoke trails. You keep firing. No explosion. No fireball. Just a slow descent. A wounded plane losing altitude. Trying to limp home. You don't chase. You let him go. Because somewhere up there, he's got friends. You brake left. Low, fast. Hawk humming like she knows you just got away with something. Your hands shake. Your legs ache. Your mouth is bone dry. But you're alive. For now. You check the fuel gauge. Low. Not danger low, just start thinking about heading home low. You key the mic. Control, this is Kestrel 2, 1 confirmed hit. Returning to base. Single engine rattle. Minor structural. Over. No response. Of course. Radio range out here's trash. You take a breath. Long. Controlled. Then you realise something else. You don't remember breathing since the first turn. You lean back just for a second. Let the straps dig into your chest. Let your brain catch up. This is the part no one talks about. The in-between. The few quiet seconds after the adrenaline wears off but before the next disaster arrives. You flex your fingers. The gloves are wet again. You're not sure if it's sweat, blood or both. The stick wobbles slightly. You compensate. Trim tabs off damage from the last burst? Probably. You'll land crooked. You've done worse. You drop altitude slowly. Scan the terrain for landmarks. A ruined farmhouse. A bend in the river. The airstrip should be 10 clicks east. Unless you're lost. Which you might be. No GPS, no nav computer. Just your gut, your compass and the shape of land. And your gut says go left. You do. 15 minutes pass. Long ones. Your neck cramps. Your legs feel like marble. Your right ear won't stop ringing from the near miss. But then, there it is. The airfield. Mud strip. Windsock. A tent with half a roof. Home. You radio again. Still nothing. Whatever. You're coming in anyway. You line up. Drop speed. Flaps down. Wheels out. The Hawk shudders. Crosswind hits hard. You ride it. Bounce once, twice. Wheels kiss the earth. You hold the stick steady. The plane slows, wobbles, stops. You exhale. Not victory, not relief. Just release. Like your body finally remembers it's allowed to unclench. You taxi in. The crew chief waves you down. You kill the engine. The roar fades. And what's left? Silence. Buzzing ears. A rattling heart. A cockpit full of ghosts. You unstrap slowly, one buckle at a time. Each one feels like a ritual, like you're unwrapping a present you didn't die to receive. You climb out. Boots hit the ground. And for the first time all day you feel gravity again. You almost fall. But you don't. You stand, shaking, sweating. Still here. For now. You barely have time to breathe. The second your boots hit the ground, someone's already yelling your name. Or your call sign. Or something that sounds like both through the haze of engine whine and post-adrenaline static. Kestrel 2 debrief now. You want to say no, you want to say give me 5 minutes. You want to say, I just nearly died flying a tin can with a gun bolted to it. But you don't. Because there's no time. There's never time. And they don't want to hear how close it was. They want the numbers. So you walk. The debrief tent is barely more than a tarp stretched between poles. The folding chairs are warped. The coffee's cold, the ashtray's full. The air smells like wet paper, diesel, and quiet despair. You sit. A captain clipboard, cigarette, 1,000-yard stare nods once, doesn't look at you. What did you see? He says. You rub your eyes. 2 Messerschmitts, maybe 3. Engaged at altitude 12.5, I hit 1. No explosion, might have gone down. He writes something. Not fast, not slow, just mechanically. Gun status. 1 wing jammed again. Fuel. Low, had to cut return early. He nods, jots that down too. Still hasn't looked at you. Wingman? Gone. You don't know if he's dead or just out of range, but in this place, gone covers both. The captain flips the page, reads something, then finally looks up. You're on the roster for tonight. You blink. Tonight? He nods. Moon's low, overcast, better odds. You stare at him. Better odds for what? Getting lost? Getting shot? Crashing into a tree at 200 miles an hour? You don't say it. Because what's the point? You just nod. Like always. He leans back, taps ash into the tray. Briefing at 1700, don't be late. You stand. Your legs aren't ready. You wobble. Steady yourself. Your knees feel like they've been hollowed out and refilled with gravel. Outside, the air hits your face like a slap. Not cold, not warm, just present. Just there. Reminding you, still breathing, still enlisted. You walk back to the barracks. It's a wooden shack with a leaky roof, uneven floorboards, and a poster of Rita Hayworth taped to the back wall. Your cot's still there, still smells like sweat and motor oil and wet socks. You sit. Not lie down, not relax. Just sit, hands on your thighs, staring at nothing. Across the room, Harris is taking off his boots. He doesn't look up. Debrief. You nod. He snorts. Let me guess they said tonight. Yeah. He tosses his boot. It hits the wall with a dull thunk. No one's gonna make it past this week. You don't argue. He's not being dramatic. He's being accurate. This place chews through pilots like cheap gum. You get two kinds of guys out here, the lucky and the dead. And luck runs out fast. The bell rings outside. Dinner. You go, not because you're hungry or not, but because routine is the only thing keeping your head screwed on. Mess tent, metal trays, lukewarm stew. You eat slowly, mechanically. Each bite tastes like salt and metal and fatigue. Someone's joking about seeing a German pilot wave during a pass. Another guy says he shot a parachute just to make sure. Nobody laughs. One guy says good and keeps eating. The clock hits 16:59. You drop your tray and walk straight to the hangar. The briefing room is cramped, loud, full of bodies that smell like smoke and nerves. The CO steps up. Map, pointer, monotone voice. This is the target zone, rail yard, night patrols reported here, here and here. You're going in fast. No second pass, in and out. He doesn't mention flak. He doesn't mention the weather. He doesn't mention what happens if you get lost. You ask anyway. Navigation. He shrugs. Dead reckoning, what's your headings? Dead reckoning. A fancy phrase for guess and hope. The guy next to you coughs. Dry, tired, probably flying sick. You glance around the room. Some of these guys are new, too new. One's wearing his goggles backward. Another's still holding the manual upside down. You sigh, quietly, because if you let it out loud, you won't stop. The CO wraps up. Wheels up at 1900, dismissed. You don't stand, not right away. You stare at the map. Just red circles. Just lines and names. But those lines, those are death routes. And those names, most of them won't be on the map tomorrow. You walk back to the Hawk. She's refueled, rearmed, cleaned mostly. You run your hand along the fuselage. The metal's cold, still dented from this morning. Still bleeding oil somewhere near the intake. But she's here. And so are you. The ground crew's already pulling the ladder into place. You don't argue. You climb. Strap in. Buckle. 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 Your hands are steady now. Not because you're calm, because there's nothing left to feel. You flick the switches. Prime the engine. She coughs. Starts. Prop spinning. Lights on. Guns armed. You glance at the sky. dark, cloudy, perfect for getting lost, perfect for dying quiet. You whisper to the canopy, "Just get me there, just get me back." No reply. Just the hum of a tired engine. Just the rattle of an airframe that wasn't built for night combat. Just the sky waiting. The worst part isn't flying. It's waiting to fly. You're strapped in. Engine off. Wheels chocked. Hands sweating through your gloves. And the airfield? It's alive with silence. Everyone's pretending. Ground crew moving like nothing's wrong. Mechanics checking gauges they've checked 5 times already. Pilots walking to planes like they're going to work, not to war. But under all of it, the same thing simmers. Fear. Quiet. Constant. Heavy. You sit in the cockpit, motionless. Canopy cracked for air. The smell of fuel and dirt hangs around like a ghost with a grudge. You watch your breath fog the inside of your goggles. Wipe it away. It comes back. You adjust your harness. It's already tight. Too tight. Like the plane doesn't want to let you go. Someone outside shouts a checklist. Another replies. Their voices sound far away, not from distance, but from mindset. You're already in the sky. In your head. Already dodging flak. Already counting bullets. Your mind runs ahead of you. You try to pull it back. Doesn't work. Because part of you knows. You might not come back from this one. They don't brief that. They don't say it out loud. But you feel it. In your gut. In your bones. Tonight's different. The wind's wrong. The clouds are too low. The target's too far. And the hawk? She's still bleeding oil from somewhere under the cowling. But you're going anyway. Because no one says no. You look across the strip. Harris is climbing into his own bird. He catches your eye. Nods. You nod back. That's the ritual. That's the goodbye. You don't say the words. Because if you say them, if you even whisper them, they'll be real. You close the canopy. Click. Slide. Seal. Now it's just you, the engine, and the fear. The crew chief taps the glass. You thumbs up. He pulls the chocks. You flip the magnetos. Prime the throttle. Push the starter. The engine coughs. Then roars. Then settles into that low, angry hum that rattles your ribs. The prop spins. The gauges twitch. And your heart starts counting down. You taxi slow, lights dimmed. Everything dark but the glow of your instrument panel. The runway isn't lit, just marked with flares, dying ones. You line up behind another hawk, tail numbers streaked with grime. You can't tell who's in it. Doesn't matter. There'll be a shadow in 5 minutes. Control crackles through the headset. Flight 1, clear for takeoff. You're next. Throttle up. Stick forward. The engine howls. Wheels rumble. You bounce once, then lift. Airborne. Again. No turning back now. You climb slow. Visibility's garbage. Your wingman disappears into cloud within seconds. Now it's you. Alone in the dark, with a leaking plane, a half-jammed gun, and the weight of a mission no one expects you to finish. You check your compass. Bearings good. Altitude 9,000 and rising. Somewhere up here are the rest of your squadron. Somewhere up here is the objective. Somewhere up here or below are people trying to kill you. The sky is thick tonight. Heavy clouds. No stars. No moon. Just blackness. And the endless thrum of an engine that's never sounded this nervous. Your hands tremble on the stick. You try to steady them. You try to breathe slow. but your body knows what your brain won't say. You're scared. Not the kind of scared that shouts, the kind that whispers, the kind that crouches in your chest and waits for the first shot to scream. You wipe your goggles again. No fog, just a habit. You radio in, no response. Of course not. Comms don't work this far out, this low, this late. You're flying blind. Flying by feel. And the hawk? She's shaking now. Not badly, not yet. But enough to make you wonder if something's cracked loose back near the tail. You glance at your fuel gauge. Still decent. But the needle's twitching. You hate when it twitches. Every gauge in this plane is a liar. A slow, passive-aggressive, ticking liar. And you're betting your life on it. The clouds thin just enough to glimpse the world below. A village. Dark. Silent. A rail yard just east of it that's your target. You squint. Hard to tell if you're on course. Harder to tell if those shapes in the sky are friendlies or not. You bank left. Careful. Gentle. The hawk rolls slow tonight. Tired, maybe. Or maybe she knows something you don't. You line up. Target ahead. And for a moment, just one flicker of silence, you think, maybe I'll make it. Then the sky explodes. Flack. Bright. Loud. Violent. Not close yet, but closing. You dive. Hard. Instinct, not orders. The hawk groans. G-forces push your stomach into your boots. Tracer rounds arc past. Orange and white and fast. You yank right. Another burst lights up above you. The rail yard is beneath you now. You arm the guns. Grip tight, sight down, fire. Short burst. Then pull. Climb. Bank. The whole run takes less than 8 seconds. But it feels like a lifetime. The flak gets closer. One burst rocks your left wing. No hit, just shock, just air. But enough to make your teeth slam together. You dive again. Lower. Faster. Straight into the black. No radio. No wingman. No goddamn clue where anyone else is. And somehow, you're smiling. Because fear is past. You're past fear now. You're flying on instinct. On rage. On momentum. You're alive for another minute. Another second. You check your 6. Clear. You climb. Just enough to breathe again. And somewhere behind you the airfield is waiting. If you can find it again. If you make it back. But for now, you're just a flicker in the dark. A shadow with wings. And your mission's not over yet. You always thought the danger was in the takeoff. You were wrong. Takeoff's the lie. It's smooth, controlled, measured. You're strapped in, focused, locked into a clean strip of runway that says, this is where your job begins. But what they don't tell you, your job never ends. Not until you're back on the ground or part of it. And out here, there's no runway waiting, just open sky, angry clouds, and 1,000 ways to come apart at the seams. You're 10 minutes past the target now. No more flak, no more gunfire. Just silence. You don't trust silence. Silence in the air is worse than noise. Because noise, that means someone's watching, someone's aiming, you can react. But silence? Silence means they've already fired. You check your gauges, again. Fuel's lower than it should be. Oil pressure's holding barely. Ammunition down to a quarter load. You run the math in your head. Not pilot math, survival math. If you fly straight, you might make it home. If you zig, dodge, weave, climb, panic, you won't. Simple. Problem is, the sky doesn't do simple. A flicker on the edge of your vision. Left side, far. You bank. Not sharp, just enough to feel it. A curve through the dark, and there it is. Another shadow. Same size as you, same shape. But the wings are thinner, sharper. Predatory. Messerschmitt. No lights, no markings visible. But you know that silhouette. He hasn't seen you yet. Or maybe he has. You don't wait to find out. You push the throttle. The hawk surges forward, shudders once. You glance at the altimeter, still descending. You pull, not too hard. Level off, bring her nose up just enough to stay in the air without screaming. You ease into a turn. Try to tuck into the clouds. Let the dark hide you. The hawk doesn't like this altitude. She's coughing, not violently, just enough to remind you, I'm tired, I'm not built for this. Neither are you. You shift in your seat. The harness digs into your ribs. Your right thigh is numb. Your back soaked in sweat. You flick your guns off safe. You know it's coming. The first shot isn't yours. It never is. He opens up from behind. A burst. Loud. Bright. Tracer lines zipping past your wing like warning signs in a tunnel. You roll hard. The hawk groans. You feel the G-force slam you sideways. His helmet snaps against the side of the canopy. You grit your teeth. Pull back. You dive. The air screams. The engine roars. You don't look behind you. You feel him there, like a shadow stapled to your spine. You jink left, then right. Another burst flies past. Too close. Your left wing tip catches the edge of something around. The wind? A prayer? It shudders. You level out. Climb. Bank again. Every movement is heavy now. The plane's starting to resist you. Too much stress, too much wind. And then, just for a moment, you're behind him. Your finger moves before your brain does. Guns light up. Pop, pop, pop. The tracers streak forward. One hits. You see it. A spark, a flash on his fuselage. He jerks left. Tries to climb. You follow. He rolls. You roll. But your roll isn't clean. Something's dragging. You smell smoke. Not engine smoke wiring. Electrical. You cut the lights, cut the circuit. The cockpit dims. You're flying in shadow now. Just you, the enemy, the hawk, and the dark. You chase. Not because you're going to win, but because if you don't, you're next. Another burst. You miss. He banks hard. Too hard. His wing snaps through a cloud and he disappears. Gone. You level off, heart hammering, hand slick. You check the rearview mirror. Nothing. You breathe. Once. Twice. Then your engine coughs. It's not loud, but it's wrong. You know your engine. You know her sounds. This one? This one's new. You check the gauges again. Oil pressure's dropping. Fast. You tap the dial. Like that helps. It doesn't. You throttle back. She shudders. Stabilizes. For now. You look down. No lights, no cities, no waypoints. Just open fields and tree lines. Black and silent. You're lost. You don't panic, not yet. You've trained for this. Sort of. You reach for the map. It's crumpled, wet. Ink's running. You laugh. Just once. Bitter. Because of course it is. You guess a heading. Turn toward it. The engine sputters again. Now the coughing's worse. Metal fatigue? Coolant leak? Could be anything. Doesn't matter. You're not crashing yet, but she's asking for a break. You scan the ground. Still nothing. You're not even sure what country you're flying over anymore. You look up. Clouds clearing. A few stars poke through. You line up on one Orion, maybe, or just something that isn't flak. You grip the stick tighter. Talk to her. Come on, girl, just a little longer. She doesn't answer, but she flies. Slow, shaky, alive. Just like you. You check your ammo. 8 rounds in one gun. Nothing in the others. Great. You reach for the radio. Try again. Base, this is Kestrel 2. Engine issue. Low altitude. Possible damage. Request vector. Over. Static. You're just frequency. Try again. Still nothing. You lean back. Neck stiff. Head pounding. And for the first time all night you feel it. Not fear. Not panic. Something worse. Fatigue. It rolls over you like a fog. Weight behind your eyes. Thick in your chest. You blink. Hard. Try to focus. Your mind slips. Just for a second. You see her. The girl. Not real. Not here. Just a face. A memory. A wish. Then gone. And the sky returns. You shake your head. Focus. Because up here, losing focus means losing everything. You scan the horizon again, and finally a light. Faint. Flickering. Could be the base. Could be something worse. But it's something. And right now, that's enough. Altitude feels like a blessing until you remember how fast you can lose it. You're gliding now. Sort of. Engine whining, prop still spinning. But not with confidence, not with purpose. Just barely. The light you saw. Gone. Maybe it was a flare. Maybe a house. Maybe you imagined it. You don't know. And up here, not knowing is deadly. You ease the throttle. The hawk complains. She doesn't like being treated gently. The hard flying's what got you here in the first place. You check your 6. Still clear, but the air behind you feels heavy, like it's holding its breath. You tap the fuel gauge again. Empty? Not quite, but nearly. You can smell it now. The sweet, sharp tang of aviation fuel vapour. Somewhere in this old bird there's a leak. Small, slow, but real. You close your eyes just for a blink. Try to slow your breathing, because panic burns oxygen. And even at this altitude you're starting to feel at the edges of your vision softening, pulsing like they want to fade to black. You blink it off. Not yet. Not here. You scan the ground again. Still dark, still endless. Fields, shadows, a few clusters of trees. You consider bailing. Just for a second. The parachute's still there. Straps frayed, pack damp. But technically functional. You've trained for that. Pull the canopy, unclip the harness. Jump. Float down into silence and hope the ground isn't all rocks, water or Germans. But something keeps you in the seat. Pride? Fear of breaking your legs? The thought of landing and being alone, really alone, with just your sidearm and no map. You don't know. You just stay. The altimeter ticks down. 9,000. 8,000. 7,500. You try not to watch it, but it pulls your eyes like gravity already has a claim on your body. The stars above are clear now. Mocking. Beautiful, yes, but distant, indifferent. You feel like you're flying upside down over a black ocean. The silence starts to creep in. That dangerous silence. Where the engine sound fades into the background, and all you're left with is your heartbeat and your thoughts. And that's when the guilt shows up. You think about the guys who didn't make it through today. The ones who didn't get to feel this fear, this sky, this cold. You think about Harris. Where is he? Dead? Downed? Trying to walk back through some godforsaken forest? Or maybe he's back at the base right now, smoking a cigarette, wondering where you are. You hope so. You hope someone's wondering, because right now you feel like a ghost in the clouds, a whisper no one remembers. The engine hiccups, not violently, just a skip, a burp. But that's all it takes to make your stomach drop. You check everything again. Throttle where it should be. Mixture, rich enough to not choke, lean enough to stretch every last drop. Instruments, flickering, failing, lying. Altitude 6,200. You do the math. At this descent rate, you've got about 12 minutes before you're flying into terrain. If you don't find the airfield by then, you'll need to put her down in the dark. Somewhere. Anywhere. You try the radio again. Nothing but static. Not even the comforting click of dead air. Just absence. Your left hand starts cramping. You've been gripping the stick too hard. You try to flex it. Pins and needles stab your palm. You shake it out, then go back to holding on. Because letting go feels worse. Your eyes start playing tricks, shapes in the dark, flashes of light where there are none. Once you think you see headlights, a road. You bank toward it. Too late, you realise it's just a river catching starlight. No landing there. Altitude 5,500. You talk to her again. The hawk. Your voice is hoarse, barely audible over the wind. Just give me 10 more minutes, that's all I need. She rattles, but she holds. You flick the landing lights on just for a second. Big mistake. The beam illuminates nothing but swirling mist and your own wingtip. And for a heartbeat, it looks like a cliff. Your heart lurches. You cut the lights. Breathe. Stupid, you whisper. Because up here the lights don't help. They just show you how bad things really are. Altitude 4,900. You start looking for shapes, flat patches, open spaces, any hint of something that might not kill you if you hit it at 90 miles per hour. You see one, far out, dead ahead. Could be a field, could be a swamp, could be nothing, but it's your best bet. You ease into a slow descent, wings level, hands steady, eyes wide, and that's when you see it. A flicker, red, then green, then white, a signal light. You blink. No, not a hallucination. It's real, a strip, dim, small, half hidden by trees, but it's a runway, a real one. You don't know if it's yours. You don't care. You line up, throttle down, gear down, flaps out. The plane bucks once, then straightens. The engine coughs one last time, and dies. Silence. Glide path locked. You feel every rivet, every bolt, every gust of wind. The ground rushes up. Wheels hit, bounce, skid. The hawk groans, but she holds. You roll to a stop just shy of the tree line. Dead silence. Engine dead. Lights off. Heartbeat hammering. You sit there, strapped in, barely breathing, alive. Somehow. You laugh. Once. Sounds like a cough. Then you unstrap. Slow, mechanical. You open the canopy. Cold air floods in. And for a second, just 1 second, the stars above don't look so far away anymore. But altitude didn't save you. Luck did. And maybe a stubborn old plane that still had one more landing left in her. Your boots hit the dirt like you never left it. You climb down slow. Every joint in your body aches. Your legs feel like rubber. Your spine pops once, twice. But you're standing. Not crawling, not bleeding, just alive. The field around you is silent. No welcome party. No searchlights. No crew running over with tools and questions and claps on the back. Just dark. Just wind. just trees swaying like they know something you don't. You glance back at the hawk. She looks half dead. One landing gear bent, left wing scraped with branches, smoke trailing faintly from the exhaust port. But she held. She got you down. You whisper it again. Thanks. Then, stillness. Too still. You walk a few paces out. No perimeter lights. No fencing. Just raw dirt and patchy grass. This isn't home base. Not even close. You reach for your sidearm. Check the slide. One round chambered. Safety off. You don't draw. Not yet. But you want to. You want to feel something in your hand that isn't shaking. A twig snaps. You freeze. Head up. Eyes wide. Scanning shadows for motion. You lower your body, crouch behind the wheel well. Nothing. And another crackle. Right side. Closer. You duck lower. Hands on dirt. Heart pounding. Another sound. Not walking, shuffling. Could be an animal. Could be worse. You squint into the dark. Then, voices. Foreign. Low. Not English. You can't make out words, just tone. Quiet, nervous, commanding. German. You curse under your breath. Too soft to echo. You keep low. Step behind the wing. Back to the tail, crouched in the shadow of your own wreckage. Two shapes come into view. Rifles. Helmets. Not American. One holds up a flashlight but doesn't click it on. They're trained. Not green. You slow your breathing. Let your body go still, like an animal playing dead. They approach the plane. One says something. The other grunts. Their boots crunch dirt near the cockpit. You're 3 feet from them. You count your options. Option 1, shoot. But you've got 6 rounds. They've got rifles, radios, more friends in the trees. Option 2, run. But you don't know where you are. You don't know what's beyond the field. Option 3, wait. It's always the worst option. But right now, it's the only one that doesn't end with you bleeding out in the grass. So you wait. They inspect the plane. One mutters something about the engine. You catch the word lira, empty. Fuel. They know it's drained. One shines the light into the cockpit, then nods, says something sharp. The other slaps the side of the fuselage. Testing, or just annoyed? You hear a click, probably a radio. Then footsteps. They walk off. Not fast, but purposeful. Gone in seconds. You exhale. Not relief. Not yet. You stay down. Wait 5 more minutes. Then stand. Slow. Ears straining. Eyes aching from staring too hard into nothing. Then you move. Not toward the trees. Too loud, too open. You go around the rear of the plane. North, maybe, assuming your compass is still accurate. You walk hunched. Low. Quiet. The gun feels heavier with every step. Like it's absorbing the weight of the decisions you didn't make. And that's when the paranoia sets in. How many more were out there? Were they waiting? Did they let you go? Did they know you were there and just chose not to fire? That last one. That's the worst. Because it means they want something. Interrogation? Propaganda? Or just sport? You try to shake it off. Keep walking. Past tree lines. Across open grass. Boots sinking in wet patches of ground. Every branch sounds like a rifle cocking. Every bird call sounds like a code. You pass an old fence. Rotting wood. Wire long since rusted. A landmark. Or a trap. You crouch beside it. Catch your breath. Your lungs are tight. Your shoulders feel like they're made of rusted hinges. Then light, far off, faint. Could be a house. Could be a camp. Could be a church with a bell that hasn't rung in 3 years. You consider your options again, and for the first time tonight they all look like dead ends. But you move anyway, because standing still is surrender. You approach slow, careful, one step at a time. As you near, the shape becomes clearer. Small house, sloped roof. One window faintly glowing orange from inside. Candlelight. Not military. Or maybe that's the point. You get within 10 yards. Still no sound. You crouch, watch. And then, through the glass, a face. Old, wrinkled, tired, civilian. Maybe. You don't knock. You don't speak. You just stay there, in the dark, watching, waiting. Praying the radar didn't pick you up before the trees did. You don't know how long you stay crouched. A minute. 10. Maybe more. The candle flickers in the window like it's pulsing to your heartbeat. Inside, the old man hasn't moved. He's seated, still, staring down at something. A table, maybe. A cup. A memory. You don't knock. You don't step closer. You don't want to be seen. Because if he calls someone, if he says one word in the wrong language, you're done. You're an American pilot in a French field lit by German boots. And you don't know where you are. Not really. The plane's too far behind you now. The map in your pocket. Useless, torn, smudged. Your compass still works, but it only points north, and north doesn't mean safe. It just means more of this. You take one step back, then another, still watching that window. Then he moves. Slow. Not startled. Just turns. He looks right at the window. And maybe, just maybe, at you. You freeze. Your finger rests against the trigger guard. Not on the trigger. Not yet. You can't see his eyes, but you can feel them. He doesn't yell, doesn't stand, doesn't reach for anything. He just nods. Once. Then looks away. Like he's seen it before. Like this isn't the first pilot to land in the wrong country under the wrong moon. You wait 5 more seconds, then go. Back into the trees. Faster this time. Still quiet, but less careful. You don't want to think about what that nod meant. Approval? Warning? Permission? You're too tired to guess. Your body moves like a machine now. No thought, just action. One foot, then the other. You clear a ridge, then hear it. Voices. Not loud, not shouting. Just talking. Ahead. You drop low, flat to the dirt. Gun out, safety off. You crawl forward. The dirt smells like moss and rust. Your stomach scrapes a root. Your ribs grind against a rock. You find a break in the brush. There. A fire. Small, controlled. 3 men. 2 in uniform, 1 not. You can't see the insignia, but the helmets tell you enough. German. They're laughing. You don't understand all of it. Just pieces. Crashed near the ridge. Fool ran into a fence post. Tomorrow we move south. One of them stands. Lights a cigarette. The glow illuminates his face. Young. Pale. Smirking. He tosses something into the fire. It sparks. The others laugh harder. The civilian says something sharp. They stop laughing. Then the older soldier, grey hair under his helmet, leans in, says something you do recognise. Flieger. Pilot. They're talking about you. You grip the gun tighter. Your finger slides along the frame. You feel every scratch, every ding, every piece of wear from 1,000 holster pulls and 100 missions that never wanted this ending. You could take one of them, maybe two, but not three. Not out here. Not without noise. Not without them firing back. You breathe. Once, twice. Then crawl back, inch by inch. Your knees scream. Your chest is tight. But you make it. You get clear. And once you're far enough away, you stand. Because the cold is getting into your spine now. Your fingers are numb. The wind's picked up. Your jacket's not enough. You find another line of trees. Thicker, older. Good cover. You move into them, one step at a time. Eyes forward, gun raised. You're not alone anymore. That much is clear. But being alone, that was better. Alone meant you controlled the next move. Now you're in someone else's game. Someone else's forest. Someone else's home turf. You don't sleep. Can't. You find a ditch, set your back against the cold clay. Keep the gun across your lap. Your boots are soaked. Your hands won't stop shaking. And your mind is starting to make noise again. Images you didn't ask for. The rail yard. The flak. The man in the window. The smirking soldier. You try to push them out. Doesn't work. You just sit. Silent. Listening. Every snap of a twig is a threat. Every gust of wind sounds like breathing. Every creak in the trees feels like footsteps. And still part of you is grateful. Because you're alive. Because the hawk didn't fold. Because the sky somehow let you go. But the ground? The ground still wants something from you. You just don't know what. Not yet. You wake up like you were never asleep. Because you weren't. Not really. Just nodded off long enough to forget you were still holding a pistol. The forest is greyer now. Morning, maybe. Could be the moon. Hard to tell. Time isn't a straight line out here. It bends. Wraps itself around the cold. Stretches between heartbeats. Your body aches in too many places to count. Neck stiff. Hands swollen. Boots crusted in frost and mud. You sit up. Every sound feels like it's aimed at you. Like the forest is whispering your name back to you, but in German. You check the sidearm. Still warm from your body, still loaded. One extra magazine. 8 rounds total. Not enough for a fight. Just enough to make a mistake with. You shake the thought. Hard. You reach into your jacket. Pull out the flight map. It's useless. Torn. Soggy. Ink smeared from the rain and the panic and the crash. You can barely make out the borders. You trace a line imaginary. Base was southwest. You veered east after the attack. The crash site was, 20 miles out? If you're lucky. But lucky left with your wingman. Now you've got instinct, which isn't the same as knowledge. It just feels like it when you're desperate enough. You pocket the paper, not because it helps, but because admitting you're flying blind on the ground feels worse. You stand, stumble actually. Your knees feel like glass. Your back's tight. You smell like smoke, grease and dread. The world stretches in every direction. Trees, mud, rocks. A forest without end. You start moving west. Maybe. The sun's low or gone. No way to know unless it breaks the treetops. You keep the gun low. Your eyes higher. Looking for signs. Anything. A trail. A footprint. A cigarette butt left by someone friendlier than the last 3 you nearly ran into. But the woods don't offer clues. Only silence. And silence you're learning is a kind of language, one that only people running from something ever really learn to speak. You walk for what feels like an hour, maybe 2. Then, movement. Not far, a figure. You drop, flat to the ground, leaves in your mouth, elbows in the dirt. You raise the pistol, peer through the brush. One man, civilian. Old coat, cap pulled low, carrying firewood. You hold still, don't breathe. He walks slow. Not a soldier, not armed. He's humming something. A lullaby? You don't recognize it. But it makes your throat tighten anyway. He disappears over the ridge, and you exhale like you were underwater. You crawl out, stand again, keep moving. The minutes stretch. The train gets steeper. Your legs argue with every step. Your ribs hurt when you breathe too deep. A bruise or a crack from the landing, maybe. You see a road, not big, not paved, just a dirt trail winding through the woods. No vehicles, no sounds. But a road means people. People mean choices. You step onto it and instantly feel exposed, like you're back in the cockpit, flying low, waiting for the flak. Every turn could be a patrol. Every bend could hide a checkpoint. You walk in the brush beside it, parallel, close enough to see, far enough to vanish. After 30 minutes you spot smoke, thin, grey, rising from a chimney in the distance. You crouch, get low, approach slow. It's a farmhouse, small, windows boarded on one side, laundry hanging like someone still believes in normal life. No soldiers, not yet. You circle wide, make sure it's not a front, not bait. Then a figure, a woman, middle-aged, tending to a goat. You watch her. She doesn't look like a threat, but neither did the man who nodded from the candlelit window. You debate it. Go in, ask for help, try broken French and half a smile, or keep moving. Stay quiet, stay cold, stay alive. You step back, retreat into the woods, not because she scared you, because hope did. Hope makes you slow, hope gets you caught, and you're not ready to die clean yet. So you move again. Your brain hums with exhaustion. Your stomach twists from hunger. You haven't eaten since before the mission, and even that was powdered eggs and something pretending to be coffee. But there's no time for that. You walk. Another hour, maybe more. Then finally a sound. Engines. Low. Rumbling. You freeze, drop behind a fallen log. Wait. A convoy. 3 trucks, all grey, all marked. You see the black cross, not America. German supply trucks, heading north, fast. You don't breathe. Not until they're gone. Even then, only just. You wait 5 more minutes, then double back. You won't follow their route. You know better. You keep moving through the trees, and every time your foot hits a twig you wince like it's a mine. Because out here, no map means no plan, and no plan, that means your prey. The sun begins to dip. You're starting to lose light. You find a cluster of rocks, natural cover. You settle in, curl up, gun against your chest, eyes wide. No fire, no warmth, just your breath and the ticking in your head, and a growing certainty. They're looking for you. Someone saw the wreck. Someone's tracking the steps you didn't even know you were leaving. And in this place, there's no such thing as mercy. You haven't spoken a word in over a day. Your voice feels like a relic now. Dusty, fragile, unused. Every time you open your mouth to say something, anything, it stays empty. Because out here noise gets you killed, and silence at least hasn't betrayed you yet. You wake to pain. Your back aches. Your fingers are stiff. Your right knee clicks when you straighten it. You're not injured. Just used. Like a machine that wasn't meant to run this long without breaking. You check the sky. Grey. Dim. Maybe morning. Maybe the sky just forgot how to be blue. You check your sidearm again. Still there. Still warm. Still your only promise of choice. You move. Carefully. Quietly. Another mile. Maybe 2. Then, the sound. Not birds. Not engines. Voices. Not close. But close enough to find you if you're stupid. You drop flat. Pull into a thicket. Crawl low. Slow. The brush scrapes your face. You see them. 2 figures, walking the road. One's tall, broad shoulders, military jacket, no rifle. The other? Thinner. Civilian clothes, dark cap pulled down, carrying a satchel. They're speaking French. At least you think it's French. Your brain's not keeping up with your ears anymore. You wait. Listen. One of them says pilot. You freeze. They know, or think they do. They stop walking. The tall one lights a cigarette. The glow flickers. Then he turns toward the woods, toward you. He doesn't see you, but he stares long enough that your hand slides to your pistol without thinking. He says something. The other replies. Then they laugh. Not loudly, but loud enough that your stomach tightens. They keep walking. Away. You stay down. A full minute. Then another. Then snap. A twig behind you. You roll. Pistol raised. Breath caught in your throat. It's a boy. 12, maybe. Dirty coat, bare hands. Eyes wide with fear and something else. Curiosity. He doesn't speak. He just stares at the gun. Then at you. Then he points. Back the way the men came. He makes a motion, slow, careful, like tracing a trail in the air. You realize what he's saying. They're coming back. You nod. Just once. Lower the gun. Not out of trust. Just restraint. He doesn't run. He walks away. No hurry. No noise. Like a ghost with a job to finish. You move in the opposite direction. Fast this time. Back into the trees. Over a stream. Under branches that claw at your jacket like they're trying to hold you still. You run until your lungs burn. Until your ears ring. Until the only sound is your own footsteps and the rustling of branches you wish were silent. Then you stop. Lean against a tree. Let your legs tremble. You slide down. Collapse into the dirt. No plan. No compass. No food. But worst of all, no idea who to trust. That kid? He didn't sell you out. But he didn't help you either. And those men, were they soldiers, locals, resistance? It doesn't matter. Because you're still out here. Still hunted. Still unaccounted for. The problem is simple. Everyone you meet can kill you. Some might not. But you don't get to know until it's too late. And so you stay moving, stay hiding, stay quiet. You think about your squadron, about base, about the cot that probably has your name on it still. They've counted you as lost by now. KIA or MIA. Doesn't really matter. Your name's probably on a clipboard somewhere, under a column that says, did not return. And unless you make it back, that's who you are now. A ghost. A shadow. A statistic that doesn't bleed anymore. The wind picks up. Colder now. Your jacket's too thin. Your gloves are gone. Your fingers are numb. You need shelter, food. But you can't stop. Because every face in this country wears 2 masks. And if you guess wrong, just once, it'll be your last guess. You pass a barn. Empty. Dilapidated. Doors open, swinging in the wind. You slip inside. Just long enough to breathe. Smells like hay and mildew and something long dead. You sit. Gun in your lap. Eyes on the door. You don't sleep. You watch. Because out here, trust isn't just a gamble. It's a death sentence. You don't move until the wind changes, until the air shifts in that subtle ancient way. Like the earth is whispering. Someone's coming. It's not sound. It's pressure. Instinct. You stand. Slow. Gun still in your hand. Legs sore, spine locked. You take 1 step outside the barn. The world is quieter now. Not safe. Just quiet. You look east. Nothing but hills, brush, a thick wall of trees like a mouth that swallows anyone dumb enough to walk into it. But you're not dumb. You're desperate. And out here, there's no difference. You follow the fence line. Barbed wire, rusted through. Posts snapped and leaning like drunk sentries. You trace it west. It's not a road, not even a trail, but it's something straight. And out here, straight means direction. It becomes your path, the path of least resistance. That's what pilots are taught in training. When the engine fails, when the instruments lie, when the storm blinds you, fly the path of least resistance. Glide. Don't fight it. Let gravity help. Let the world decide. But walking? Walking isn't gliding. Walking is war. Every step is a choice. Every step has consequences. And right now, each footfall pulls you further from anything you understand. The forest thickens. The fence line breaks. The path disappears. And still, you walk. Because turning back doesn't mean safety. It just means dying in a place you've already seen. You crest a small ridge. Spot smoke. Again. But not chimney smoke. This is black. Low to the ground. Fuel fire. Crash site. Yours? Can't be. You veered far off course. But maybe someone else didn't. You crouch. Climb down the hill. It's a clearing. Ash and metal. One wing sticking up like a jagged tombstone. Not a hawk. Something German. Messerschmitt, maybe. The cockpit's shredded. Still smoking. No bodies. Just wreckage. You move closer. Slow. Gun ready. You check the ground. Boot prints. Fresh. Someone was here recently. Or still is. You scan the woods. See nothing. But nothing doesn't mean safe. You strip a strip of cloth from your undershirt. Wipe dirt from the tail number. Definitely German. Not that it helps you, but it might help them. Whoever finds it, or finds you. You pocket the cloth. A souvenir. A warning. You climb the next ridge. There's a road beyond it. Wider. Packed. Wheel ruts still fresh in the dirt. Truck tires. You crouch behind a tree. Wait. 5 minutes. No one. You approach the edge. Squint down the road, then noise. Distant. A sputter. A whine. An engine. You dive off the path. Belly flat. Mud in your mouth. A motorcycle. Black. German markings. Sidecar. One rider, no passenger. He's not in a hurry. Just cruising. Patrolling. Hunting? Maybe. He passes. You stay down. Even after he's gone. Even after the sound fades. Because part of you thinks the forest is watching. Not the man. The trees. Like they're keeping score. You finally move. Cross the road, back into the woods. More trees, more shadows. But also something new. A sound. Running water. You follow it. A creek. Small, cold. Enough to wash your hands, your face. You kneel. Cup water into your mouth. It tastes like copper and leaves. You don't care. You drink. Then you hear it. A click. Behind you. You freeze. Not a gun. Not metal. Something else. You turn. There, just 20 feet away, an old man, bicycle beside him, straw hat, mended coat, hands up, empty. He says something. French. You don't catch it all. But the tone. Not angry. Not afraid. Measured. You raise a hand. Cautious. Not threatening. He nods. Says another word you do understand. Americane? You don't answer. You just stare. He says it again. This time, not a question. Americane. He steps forward. You tense. But he doesn't flinch. He reaches into his coat. You lift the pistol. He stops. Slowly, carefully, he pulls out a piece of cloth. Red, white, blue, faded, dirty, but unmistakable. A patch, old, American, from the last war maybe. He presses it to his chest, then offers it to you. You don't take it, but you lower the gun, just a little, because maybe, just maybe, he's one of them, the helpers, the quiet ones, the ones who don't wear uniforms but risk just as much. He points down the creek, says one word, maison, house, then gestures, walk, hide. He puts a finger to his lips, then mounts the bike, pedals away without looking back. You stay there, kneeling in the mud, staring at the patch in your hand, a tattered American flag stitched into hope. You should move. You have to move. But all you can think is, if he's real, then maybe there's still a way home. You follow the creek like it's a path carved for ghosts. The water hums low beside you. Not loud, just present. The kind of company that doesn't ask questions. The forest thins slightly. Not enough to feel safe. Just enough to give you space to worry. Your boots squelch with every step. You're soaked. Freezing. But moving. Because the old man said maison. A house. And maybe that means shelter. Maybe that means food. A warm stove, a blanket. A voice that doesn't try to kill you. Or maybe it means soldiers. Wolves dressed in welcome. You tighten your grip on the pistol. The flag patch still rests in your other hand. Soft. Frayed. Warm from your body now. You don't know why you haven't let it go. You round a bend. There it is. A house. Old. Crooked. Stone walls. Thatched roof sagging in the middle. Smoke drifting from the chimney like it's too tired to climb. No movement. No sounds. Just the house and the trees and the quiet that presses into your ears like cotton. You approach slow, gun down, eyes sharp. The door creaks open before you knock. A woman, late 40s, hair pulled back. Eyes hard but not unkind. She sees you. Sees the pistol, the uniform, the patch in your hand. She doesn't scream. She just says one word. Vita. Quick. You follow. Not because you trust her, but because you're too tired not to. Inside, the air is warm. Not cozy, just not cold. There's a table, a stove, 2 chairs, a shelf lined with chipped mugs and one candle burning low. She gestures to the corner. A rug, a trapdoor beneath. She opens it. A cellar. Stairs descending into shadow. You hesitate. Trap or haven? She doesn't wait. She says something sharp in French. Points at the window. You turn. Outside, 2 figures far off, marching down the dirt path toward the house. Uniforms. Rifles. German. The woman hisses. You don't argue. You drop into the cellar. She shuts the door above you. Dark. No light. No sound. Just your breath and the creak of footsteps above. You crouch low. Finger on the trigger. Boots. Voices. Muffled. The woman speaking calm, firm. You catch words. Non. Rien ici. Feuillage. She's talking about trees, brush. You can't follow the thread. You hold your breath. One voice responds. Clipped, dismissive, laughing. Then nothing. Silence again. You wait. 20 seconds. A minute. Then the trapdoor creaks open. The woman's face appears. No emotion. She gestures. You climb up. She says nothing. Just sets a tin bowl on the table. Soup. Thin. Hot. You eat. Slowly, gratefully. Every sip warms your stomach like fire in a frozen pipe. She watches. Not suspicious. Just watching. Like she's seen this before. When you're done, she takes the bowl. Washes it without a word. Then she opens a drawer. Pulls out cloth. A bandage. Points to your hand. You didn't notice it before. Your knuckle is torn. Cracked open from the crash or the crawl or the cold. You nod. She cleans it. Wraps it. Her touch is efficient, not gentle. But you don't flinch. Because it's the first time in days someone's touched you without trying to hurt you. She finally speaks. Soft. Tired. Demain, vous partez. Tomorrow, you leave, you nod. You know, this is not a sanctuary. This is a pause. She disappears into the back room, returns with a blanket, tosses it onto the floor beside the stove. You don't argue. You lie down. The warmth is immediate, but you don't sleep. Not right away. You watch the flicker of the candle, the slow, steady rise of smoke from the fire, and you think, this is what peace costs now. Not freedom, not victory. Just one night without running. You wake up once, middle of the night. She's seated by the window, smoking, watching the forest. She doesn't look back at you. You close your eyes. Because you know if you stay too long in this place, you'll start to believe it's safe. And the war has no patience for belief. You leave before sunrise. No words. The woman doesn't offer a goodbye. Just a gesture, a nod. Like you're a chore she's seen 100 times. You step out into the cold like it owes you something. It doesn't. The forest is still there. Still wide, still silent. Still watching. You pick a direction. Southwest, maybe. Could be northeast. Could be backwards. It doesn't matter. Because the road doesn't lead home. It never did. You're not trying to find a base anymore. You're just trying to stay in motion, because standing still is surrender. You walk slow. Every step stiff. The cold's in your knees now, chewing at the joints. Your boots are splitting at the seams. You don't remember when that started. A mile in, you stop at a creek. Drink again. Taste mud and leaves. Doesn't matter. It's wet. It's real. You move on. The trees thin slightly. A path opens up. Not a road. A trail. Old. Barely used. You follow it. Then you hear them. Dogs. Distant. Barking. Not random. Organised. A hunt. You duck off the trail, back into the brush. Get low. Gun drawn. You don't run. Not yet. Running means noise. Running means panic. And you've only got one shot at this. You crawl under a thicket. Thorns rake your jacket. Cut your arm. You bite down on a grunt. Then, boots, crunching leaves, voices, German. They're close. A squad, maybe 4, maybe 5. One dog, growling, sniffing. You don't breathe. They pass 5 feet from you. One lights a cigarette. The flare is brief, too bright, too hot. It dies. They keep walking. The dog barks once. The handler snaps a command. Silence returns. Then, just like that, they're gone. You stay still for another 20 minutes. Only then do you crawl out. Slow. Breath shallow. You walk again. This time, quieter. Avoid trails. Stick to the trees. You pass a tree marked with a ribbon. Red, torn. Tied tight. It's not military, but it's a sign. You follow it. 2 more appear along the path, then a 4th. Breadcrumbs. Deliberate. Someone left a trail. You're not sure who or why, but you follow anyway, because the forest offers nothing else. After another hour you find it. A shack. Old. Leaning. Door missing. Roof half collapsed. Inside, a bucket. A blanket. A crate with a painted symbol, white star, faded. American. You sit. Rest. Your body trembles without moving. You unwrap the bandage from your hand. The wound's infected. Swollen. Yellow at the edges. You wash it with water. Rewrap it with a strip of your undershirt. You take stock. 2 rounds left. Hard canteen. One fading memory of home. You remember a street. Laughter. A name whispered in the dark before the engine spun up for takeoff. You remember your mother's kitchen. Not clearly, just warmth. Steam from a pot. Light through a curtain. You shake it off. Memories don't help now. You rest an hour. Then move again. The trail continues. Ribbons every 100 yards. Some blue, some white. They mean something. Resistance. Friendly route. Trap. You follow. Because the road you were on, that road ended the moment you left the sky. And now you're not on a road. You're on someone's path. And that's the terrifying part. Because whoever made it, they're still out here, watching, or waiting, or gone. You crest another ridge. Smoke in the valley, more than a chimney, not black like a crash. Grey, controlled. A camp, a town, a checkpoint. You crouch, watch. You see figures, moving with discipline. Not soldiers, but not civilians either. Then, just for a second, you spot it. A patch, white, blue, red. Crossed rifles, not German, not quite French either. Resistance. Or a faction of it. You exhale, but don't move, because even allies can pull a trigger if you come at them from the wrong angle. You circle wide, down the side of the hill, using the brush, the trees. Careful, deliberate. You want to believe this is help, but belief is expensive, and you've got nothing left to spend. You get within 50 feet, then stop. Raise your hands. Step into the open. A man shouts. Another lifts a rifle. You shout back, in broken French. "Pilot! Américain!" They shout again. You drop the gun. Let it fall. Then lift your shirt. Show the flag patch. The one the old man gave you. One man steps forward, cautious. He says one word. Name? You say yours. Voice cracked, dry. He studies your face. Then lowers the rifle. Bienvenue. Welcome. You collapse to your knees. Not from relief. From everything else. Because the road didn't lead home. It led here, and here. Here might be the next best thing. The camp isn't what you expected. No flags, no banners, no celebratory welcome. Just canvas tents, mud, and too many eyes that don't blink. You're led by the man who lowered his rifle. Late 30s, scar on his neck. Face like stone. Walks like he hasn't rested in years. He doesn't say much. Just nods toward the others. And they don't nod back. They watch you. Like you're not real. Like you might explode. You get it. You're dirty. Wearing a uniform no one here's seen in weeks. Armed. Alone. You look more like a problem than a pilot. They lead you to a tent. Small. Damp. Cold. Inside a cot, a canteen and a box of hard biscuits that taste like chalk and old regrets. You eat anyway. No one speaks to you for the first hour. 2 men sit outside the tent. Not guards exactly, but not just there for fun either. You try not to make eye contact. They give you time to eat. Then the man with the scar returns. He enters slow. No rifle. No threats. But his voice is blunt. French. Clean. Clipped. You catch most of it. Name, rank, unit. You answer. He listens. Doesn't write anything down. Just watches. His eyes don't blink much. He nods once. Then asks the question you knew was coming. How do we know you're not Gestapo? You don't flinch. Don't laugh. You just answer. Because right now your story is all you've got. You walk him through the mission. The raid. The flak. The hit. The descent. The crash. The forest. The house. You leave nothing out. Even the woman. Even the boy. Even the flag patch. When you finish, he's silent for a moment. Then, you're lucky. You nod. He doesn't. You'll stay here tonight. Tomorrow, maybe, we move you. Maybe. You don't ask what maybe means. He leaves. The flap falls shut. You lie back on the cot. It creaks like it's not sure it wants your weight. The walls are thin. You hear whispers, names, footsteps, the clink of metal being cleaned. Someone's preparing for something. And you? You're just waiting again. A ghost in a camp of shadows. You doze off once. Then wake to the sound of a zipper. Tent flap. A girl, 16, maybe 17. Dark hair. Dirty face. Carrying a pot of water and a rag. She doesn't speak. Just sets it beside you. Then leaves. No eye contact. No words. You wash your hands. Wipe your face. It stings. You forgot what clean skin feels like. That night the man returns, hands you a folded note. One sentence scrawled in English. We move at dawn, no noise. You nod. He pauses at the flap. Then, if you try to leave early, we shoot you. The tone's not angry, just procedural, like he said it before, and meant it every time. He leaves. You lie awake. You're tired, more than tired, but you can't sleep. Because even here, among people who might be allies, you're alone. They feed you, they watch you, but they don't trust you. And why should they? You're a stranger, a risk. You could be a trap, a lie, a bullet wrapped in a smile. They've seen it before, and you don't blame them, because if you were in their boots, you wouldn't trust you either. Dawn doesn't arrive. It just fades in. Grey and slow and quiet, like the world's apologising for letting the night last that long. They wake you with a whisper, not a shout, not a knock, just a presence at the flap. The girl again, holding a crust of bread and a nod that says it's time. You eat standing, dry, dense, like chewing a rock wrapped in memory. Your pistol is returned, unloaded. They hand you 5 rounds separately, like each one's a question they're still not sure you deserve to answer. You pocket them without comment. The man with the scar appears again. He nods at 2 others, both armed, both silent. They don't introduce themselves. Names are heavy out here. Instead, you're handed a satchel. Cloth. Rough. Smells like gasoline and damp leather. Inside. A rolled map. A flashlight. Dim. A signal flare. A compass that doesn't point straight. You sling it over your shoulder. The scarred man, his name might be Mark. You heard someone whisper, pulls a tarp aside. Beneath it, half buried in leaves and dirt, a bicycle. Rusted. Tyres soft. Chain oiled with grease that smells like war. He looks at you like he's handing you a rifle, then says flatly, "You ride, we run." You blink. "What?" He points to a narrow trail cutting through the trees. German checkpoint 4 kilometres east. Roadblock. You go first. Alone. Draw their eyes. You shake your head. "No way I make it through." Mark shrugs. "You don't need to. You just need to make them look at you." You feel the blood drain from your face. This isn't an escape plan. It's a decoy plan. He sees it. And for the first time he says something almost kind. Do this, and they believe you. Maybe you earn your ride home. Maybe. You straddle the bike. The seat is cracked. The handlebar's loose. You're not sure it can even roll. But none of that matters. Because they're counting on it. On you. You grip the bars. Mark leans in. You make noise, they come. We move the others. You frown. Others? He doesn't explain. But now you understand. This isn't about you anymore. You're just one pilot. They've got civilians, messengers, radio men, maybe another downed crew. And every second you stay alive out front is another second they get to breathe. Go. So you go. The bike rattles over stones and roots. Wheels squeal. The trail is narrow, barely cut. Branches whip at your face. Your knees ache. Your back screams. The satchel thumps against your ribs like a second heartbeat. You ride harder, faster. The wind cutting through your jacket like it's not even there. Then, voices. Shouts. Ahead. Checkpoint. 2 soldiers. 1 rifle, 1 machine pistol. They haven't seen you yet. You keep going. Straight at them. Like you're an idiot. Like you don't know they're there. They yell. Guns raised. 1 fires into the air. You swerve. Ditch the bike. Roll into a ditch as bullets chew bark off the trees behind you. You scramble, run, feet pounding mud. Gun still in your jacket. Heart trying to claw its way up your throat. They chase. 1 yells. Another fires. Misses. You run harder. Not because you think you'll make it out, but because they're moving now. Which means Mark is too. You hear the bark of a distant dog. You keep running. You break through another thicket. Trip. Hit the ground hard. Mud in your mouth. Wrist screaming. You push up. Gun in hand now. You fire once behind you. Don't aim. Just noise. The soldiers duck. You crawl into the brush. Hide. And then silence. No footfalls, no shouting. They've stopped, gone back, or circling. You don't move. You just lie in the wet dirt, chest heaving, every inch of your body screaming. 10 minutes pass, then a rustle. Soft, close. You flinch. It's not a soldier. It's Mark. He kneels beside you, sweat on his brow, rifle slung. "We moved them," he says. "All of them." You nod. He offers his hand. You don't hesitate. He pulls you up. And for the first time, you're not just cargo, not just a burden. You're part of the war now, not in the sky, not in a cockpit, but here, in the mud, in the noise. And the war doesn't care where you fight, only that you do. The walk away from the checkpoint takes hours. You don't talk. No one does. Mark leads. The others, 2 women, a teenage boy, a man with a limp and a blood-stained sleeve, follow without a word. You bring up the rear, not because you're the slowest, but because you volunteered to draw fire. And now they're watching to see if that was just desperation or loyalty. Your boots leave tracks, but you stopped caring about that 5 miles ago. If they're chasing you, you'll hear them soon enough. And if you don't, it's probably because they're already ahead of you. You pass through a hollow, then up a hill so steep it scrapes the breath from your lungs. At the top, you collapse. Not dramatically, not loud, just fold. Your legs stop obeying. Your arms dangle uselessly. Mark stops. The others keep moving. No one helps. He crouches beside you, pulls out a flask. You take it. Water, warm, but real. You hand it back. "Where are we going?" you whisper. He looks past you. "Where they won't follow." Then he walks on. You stand. Eventually. And you walk again. The sun starts to set. Again. Or maybe it never rose. Hard to say. You've been moving so long the sky doesn't mean anything anymore. Not freedom, not hope. Just light or dark, hot or cold. You stop at a stream, drink, wash the mud from your face. Try to find your reflection in the ripples. You can't. Not really. What you see, that's not you. Not the you that flew the P-36 Hawk. Not the one who joked in the mess hall. Not the one who called his mother before deployment promising you'd write. That version of you. He never made it out of the sky. What's left? This. The mud. The blood. The man who doesn't blink when a shot echoes in the distance because you've already decided if it's meant for you, you won't run this time. Mark stops near a cluster of rocks. Signals the others. A rest. Maybe camp. You drop your gear. Sit on a stump that feels like a throne for the damned. The teenage boy, skinny, hollow-eyed, hands trembling, sits near you. He stares at your pistol. You let him look, then hand it to him, unloaded. He holds it like it's a snake, then sets it down gently beside you. "I thought Americans had better ones," he mutters in broken English. You chuckle. It sounds like gravel in your throat. Maybe back home. He nods, then says, "You think you'll go back?" You start to answer, then stop. Because the question isn't if, it's who. Who goes back? Because it's not you. Not the you who launched that mission. Not the you who believed the war was something clean wings, honour, flags. No. If you ever get home, you'll be a different man. A version shaped by forests, betrayal, pain and cold food shared in silence with strangers who might die before sunrise. You don't say that to the boy. You just say, "I don't think it works like that." He shrugs, then says, Me neither. And just like that, you're not strangers. Not really. Not anymore. That night you sleep beside the others, one blanket between two people, gun under your arm, one eye open, you dream about the plane, the hawk, engine burning, wings crumpling. Only this time, you never jumped. You stayed strapped in, watched the ground rise up, woke up before impact. You're grateful for that, because you've already lived the rest. At some point, someone stirs the fire. The warmth touches your boots, but it doesn't go deeper. Nothing does, because once the sky lets go of you, really lets go, you don't get to go back. You only get to go forward. And forward, that's where the war lives now. It hits you sometime around mid-morning. Not a bullet, not a shout, not a dog barking in the trees, just a thought, a small one, simple. You don't know his name, your wingman, the guy flying off your right side when everything went to hell, the one who caught the first flak burst, the one whose plane dipped, then vanished behind smoke and fire and a canopy that never opened. You can still see it, the flicker of metal, the impossible silence after the impact, the way his aircraft folded like paper and was just gone. And now, days later, through mud and pain and silence and strangers, you still don't know his name. You try to remember. Was it Collins? Harper? Jensen? Something with a hard edge and a soft face. You shared coffee once. Laughed at a joke neither of you finished. But now his name's lost somewhere between gunpowder and dirt, and you're the only one left to notice, because he didn't come back, and chances are no one will ask where he went. There's a list, somewhere, back at base, typed up and folded into a briefing folder. Missing, presumed dead, flak during sortie. They won't know what really happened. That he screamed before the fire. That he stayed with the stick long enough to keep from crashing into a village. That he died trying not to kill anyone else. That matters. But no one will write it down. Because this war isn't about stories. It's about numbers. And the ones who don't come back, they stop being people. Start being statistics. A line in a ledger. A name on a stone. Flight officer status. Unknown. You keep walking. The woods stretch out in all directions like a graveyard without markers. You try not to count how many friends you've lost, because you stop being able to keep up around Mission 9. Now it's just shapes, ghosts. That laugh, that handshake, that voice behind you during takeoff. Gone. And it hurts in a way you don't talk about. Not even to yourself. Because if you name them all, if you hold them too close, they stay. And staying means carrying the weight. Every time you crawl through mud, they're with you. Every time you lie to a checkpoint guard in a language you barely know, their silence sits on your shoulder. And when you finally get a moment to breathe, it's not relief. It's guilt. Because you're still breathing. And they're not. You pass a fallen tree. On the other side, a clearing. The boy from yesterday is sitting there carving something with a pocket knife. You sit beside him. Say nothing. After a while, he says, "That your friend?" You look at him. He gestures at your face. You were crying. You blink. Touch your cheek. Wet. You didn't even feel it happen. You nod. He was a pilot? Yeah. The boy shrugs. I knew one. He flew at night, got shot down near Metz, never found him. He turns the wooden shape over in his hand. You recognize it now. A plane, roughly carved. Small, crude, but unmistakable. Was that his? You ask. No, but I wanted him to have one, so I made it. He tosses it gently into the fire. You flinch. Why do you do that? He doesn't look up. Because I think he'd rather fly through smoke than rot in a tree. You don't respond. Because you get it. The people who don't come back. They don't need closure. We do. And sometimes closure is just giving something to the flame and pretending it means peace. You look into the fire, not for warmth, for memory, and you say a name out loud, quiet. Maybe it's the wrong one. Maybe it's just the first one that hurts the most. But you say it anyway, because forgetting is worse than dying. And as long as you remember, they're not just missing. They're still flying. Somewhere. You see it in the distance first. A contrail. Thin, high, drawn across the clouds like a scar no one asked for. You stop walking. Tilt your head. Watch it slowly drift, slicing the sky like it remembers something you forgot. Someone's flying today. Maybe a recon run. Maybe an escort. Maybe one of yours. Or maybe not. You don't know anymore. And the truth is, you don't care the same way you used to. Because the sky's different now. You used to love it. That climb, that throttle, the sound of the engine kicking over like it was built just for you, the vibration in your teeth, the straps pulling your chest tight, the wings banking clean through empty air. It felt like freedom, like control, like you were part of something too big to fail. But now when you look up, all you see is distance. Not safety, not superiority. Just distance. Between them and you. Between what you were and what you are. Because once you fall out of the sky, you never really belong to it again. You remember the hawk. Your hawk. She wasn't the fastest. Wasn't the flashiest. But she was yours. You remember every panel, every quirk in the stick. The way she leaned a little left when you pulled hard and she didn't like the cold at altitude. She wasn't a machine. She was a ritual. And you left her behind. Burning. Crumpled. Smoking in the trees. She didn't carry you back. And maybe that's what stings most. You always thought the sky would save you. Turns out it just dropped you harder. You walk a little slower now, because the world below the clouds isn't made for pilots. There's no altitude here, no turning radius. Just roots and mud and men who don't care what squadron patch you wore. On the ground, you're not special. You're just another pair of feet moving through a place where everyone wants to disappear. One of the resistance fighters, a man with a burn across one cheek and an accent you can't place, points out a ridge ahead. View's better there, he says. You nod. Climb the rocks. At the top you see miles, treetops, smoke from a chimney, a road like a thread, and, faintly, another shape in the clouds. Another plane. High, small, clean. You wonder what he sees. Looking down, would he even notice you? Just a man on a ridge covered in dirt holding a weapon he no longer believes will keep him alive? You doubt it. Because you wouldn't have either. Back when you were up there. Back when you flew over villages like they were paper towns with cardboard trees and no real people inside. It hits you. You're not a pilot anymore. Not really. You're something else now. A survivor. And those two things aren't the same. Survivors don't soar. They crawl. They fight for inches. They dig through snow and mud and lies looking for the next breath. You sit. Close your eyes. Try to imagine the sound of your Hawk's engine again. but it doesn't come. All you hear is wind, and somewhere in that wind, the voice that used to say, "Ready for takeoff." You try saying it yourself. Quiet. Ready for takeoff. But your voice cracks halfway through, because takeoff isn't an option anymore. Not until someone gives you wings again. And even then, even if they put you in a cockpit tomorrow, you're not sure you fly the same. Not with what you've seen, not with what you've become. You open your eyes. The plane overhead disappears into cloud. Gone. Just like you. The trail bends west. The trees thin. You're close now. Not to safety, not to peace, but to the edge of something. Mark says a rendezvous is near. A pickup, an extraction route. Maybe a drop zone if the weather holds. A plane might come. A jeep. A man in a coat who speaks in code and doesn't ask for names. You've heard this part before. Whispers of escape. The promise of going home. But now it doesn't feel like hope. It feels like a trap you want to fall for. Because what if it's not real? What if this the story resistance fighters tell the ones they pity? Something to hold on to. A reason to keep walking. You'll get out, you'll see your family again. Just a few more miles. So you walk. But your chest doesn't lift. Your heart doesn't race. Because the thought has been growing in your head since the crash. What if I do make it back? And the answer you keep finding. I won't know what to do when I get there. You picture the base. Still buildings, dusty runways, a bulletin board full of names that aren't checked off. You imagine walking up, trying to speak, but you can't. Because you're not the person who left, and they won't see you as the one who returned. They'll clap your shoulder, say hell of a story, maybe hand you a coffee, a blanket, a medal if someone's feeling generous. But inside, you'll still be in the trees, still walking between checkpoints and cellars and graves, still hearing the bark of German orders through half-closed windows, still tasting the dirt you crawled through at midnight to avoid being seen. You think about the people you met. Mark. The boy who carved planes. The woman who said nothing but saved your life anyway. Where do they go when this ends? Do they get medals? Do they get home? You doubt it. Because even if the war stops, it doesn't end for people like them. They don't get fanfare. They get silence. They get memories they can't translate. And you'll get uniformed again. Given another assignment, another mission. They'll say, "Rest up, soldier. The war's still on." Like what you've done hasn't already cost enough. You stop walking. There's a ridge ahead. Mark holds a hand up. Wait. Scouts go forward. You sit on a stump. Watch the sky. No planes. Just cloud cover. Thick. Grey. Endless. Perfect day to be forgotten. The others stay quiet. No one talks about what's next. Because saying it out loud might break it. Might prove it was a lie all along. Then Mark returns. Gives the nod. It's there. You follow. Down a hill. Across a broken fence. Through a field so quiet you think you've gone deaf. Then you see it. A barn. Old. Bent. Still standing. Inside, a man in a coat. Radio operator, British accent. Says your name before you say anything. You're the flyer, yeah? You nod. He smiles like it doesn't matter. Right. You're lucky. Plane will be here in 20. He says it like you ordered a ride home from the pub. Like this hasn't been a lifetime since you last saw pavement. You sit. He offers you water. You drink. Then he says something that hits harder than any gunfire. You'll be debriefed once we land, then reassigned. plenty of action in Italy next month. You stare at him, not angry, just empty. Because if you make it back, if this really is the end of the forest, the frost, the hiding, then that means you go back to the war. And what they don't tell you, what they never tell you, is that survival is just another assignment. You'll go home eventually, sure, but home is just a word they use to keep you moving. What you had, the life before, that version of you, he's gone. You watch the door, hear the rumble, engines in the distance. Mark doesn't come inside, neither do the others. They stay out of sight, like shadows aren't allowed in daylight. You think about asking if they want to come, but you know better. This is your exit, not theirs. You stand. The barn shakes with wind. The plane lands hard, like even it doesn't want to be here. A jeep rolls out. A man waves. You look back once. No one waves at you. Not because they don't care, but because they know what it costs to watch someone leave. And they've paid enough. You step into the jeep. The man closes the door. You'll be flying in 5. Don't puke. The pilot hates that. You smile. It's the first lie you've told in days, because you know something he doesn't. You already threw up all your fear back in chapter 1. You don't cry on the plane. You don't smile either. You just sit in the jump seat, strapped in with webbing that smells like rubber and oil and something metallic beneath it, all almost familiar. The pilot doesn't speak to you, doesn't ask your name, doesn't ask what happened, doesn't ask why you're sitting there without a duffel bag, without papers, without a crew. Maybe he's been told not to. Maybe he's seen too many of you come back in silence. You close your eyes as the wheels lift off. You feel the vibration in your bones. Feel the altitude rise. Your ears pop. You don't feel relief, just height. And after what you've been through, height isn't comforting, it's a warning. You land at a forward base, not the one you left from, a temporary station, dusty runways, chain-link fences, barracks made of sheet metal and resignation. A junior officer meets you with a clipboard. Flight officer, American, Hawk pilot, downed 5 days ago, possible contact with resistance. He doesn't shake your hand. He just points. Debriefing's in that tent. You walk. The air smells like diesel and boiled coffee. Inside, a long table, 2 chairs, and a man with thin hair and a pencil behind his ear. British, maybe. Hard to tell. He has the face of someone who's forgotten how to blink. He motions you to sit. You do. He opens a folder. No name on the cover, just numbers. Name and rank, he says. You answer. He nods, writes it down. Unit. You give it. He scribbles. Then the questions begin. Date of takeoff. Mission objective. Aircraft serial number. Altitude at time of hit. You answer them all. Monotone. Automatic. You've told this story before. Not to people. To yourself. In the woods. In your sleep. In your silence. But when you get to the crash, when you describe the spin, the bailout, the trees clawing at your arms, he doesn't look up. Just writes. Then comes the part they don't teach you how to explain. The forest. The checkpoint. The boy with the plane carved from pine. You mention Mark. The flag patch. The cellar beneath the kitchen with potatoes and prayers carved into the walls. And finally, the extraction. When you finish, the man puts down his pencil. He stares at you. Then says the worst thing you've heard since the war began. Do you have proof? You blink. Proof? Of who helped you where you were? Documents, names, radio calls, coordinates. You just stare. He waits. You shake your head. No proof. He nods, doesn't look surprised. He writes a note. Unofficial assistance, resistance involvement unconfirmed. You clench your jaw. Does that mean they don't exist? He glances at you. No, it just means we won't report them until we can verify them. You lean forward. They saved my life. And I'm not disputing that, he says flatly. But unless it's documented, it didn't happen. That's how this works. That's how this works. That's what you can do. Not honour, not thanks. Forms. Because the war has rules, and stories without signatures are just stories. You sit in silence for the next 15 minutes. He asks about your psychological state. You lie. He asks about physical injury. You underplay it. He asks if you are ready for redeployment. You say yes. Because saying no would mean more paperwork, more questions, and worse, time. And time means thinking. Time means remembering. He closes the file. Get some rest. Someone will come collect you for reassignment. You leave the tent. You don't look back. No one does. There's no band playing, no flag waving. You're just another number moving through a system too overwhelmed to care. A supply truck rolls past, kicking dust into your eyes. You don't flinch. You just stand there, breathing, trying to remember what it felt like to matter. You reach into your pocket, pull out the cloth flag patch. Still there, still faded, still warm. You press it to your chest. Not for anyone else, just for you. Because the debrief, the forms, they don't know what you saw, what you lost. They can't document the smell of burning metal or the sound of snow crunching beneath the boots of men who might kill you. They can't record the silence in the barn when you realised you might be the only one who made it. They can't list the names you never knew. So the debrief, it's useless, because you are the record, and some stories never make it to paper. But they live anyway. They give you a bunk. Third cot in from the door, thin mattress. Blanket folded once at the foot like that makes a difference. The man beside you is snoring, loud, rhythmic, like he doesn't know what you know. Like he still believes the dark is just dark, not full of teeth and memories. You lie down, back flat, boots still on. You tell yourself you'll rest, that you're finally safe, that nothing will come through the trees tonight. But you don't believe it, because you can't sleep like you used to. Not anymore. Not after crawling through ditches with dogs barking behind you. Not after spending 5 days rationing fear and river water. Sleep used to be easy. Back in training, back at base. After a long flight, a hot meal, a story told too loud in the mess hall. Back when the worst thing that might wake you was a drill sergeant or a faulty alarm. Back before your ears learned the sound of a safety being clicked off in another language. Now every creak of the building sounds like footsteps. Every whisper is a warning. Every silence feels like the one right before something explodes. You close your eyes, try to breathe. It doesn't work. Because your body might be horizontal, but your mind is still out there. In the woods, in the frost, in the cockpit, watching smoke coil from the wing and realizing you have 5 seconds left to live unless you do something terrifying. You try to count backward from 100, but somewhere around 93 you remember the sound of glass breaking under your boots in a ruined barn. At 81, you remember the boy with the carved plane and wonder if he made it out. At 67, you remember the woman's hands wrapping your knuckles with a strip of cloth that smelled like herbs and quiet defiance. At 51, you remember nothing, but you're still awake. Eyes closed. Heart pounding like it's waiting for a door to burst open. Then bam! A locker slams shut down the hall. You sit up, too fast, pulse hammering. The room is calm. The snoring continues. Someone laughs outside. You don't. You breathe slow. Try to lie back down. But your body won't settle. Because comfort isn't safe anymore. It's suspicious. It's bait. You hear someone cough. You flinch. You used to dream in colour. Now you don't dream at all, or worse, you dream accurately. Trees, blood, screams that cut off halfway through. Waking up doesn't feel like escape anymore. It feels like interruption. You swing your legs off the bed. Stand up. The floor is cold. Good. You welcome it. You step outside into the night air. Clear sky. No clouds. No engines above. Still, you scan the stars like you're looking for something. Like if you squint hard enough, you'll see your hawk. Still flying. Still waiting for you. You don't. She's gone. You sit on a crate. Wrap the blanket around your shoulders. Wait for exhaustion to win. It doesn't. It just sits beside you like an old friend who no longer speaks your language. Eventually someone walks past. A soldier. Fresh face. Clean uniform. He nods politely. Couldn't sleep? You shake your head. He chuckles. Me neither. Bad mattress, huh? You almost laugh. But you don't. Because this isn't about mattresses. It's about memory. About the body refusing to pretend the war is over just because the bullets stopped flying. He disappears inside. You stay, staring at the stars that used to mean navigation, and now just mean you're not underground. And in the quiet you finally understand. It's not that you can't sleep. It's that part of you won't let you. Because the night still belongs to the war. And some part of you is still out there, pacing, waiting, surviving. Even now, especially now, they call your name 2 days later. No warning, no ceremony, just a sergeant with a clipboard and a voice flat from repetition. You're back on the list. Aircraft assignment posted. You nod. He walks away before you can ask questions. You follow the signs. Back to the hangar. Back to the flight line. And when you see her, your new bird, you stop walking. Because for a second your legs forget how. It's not the hawk. Of course it isn't. She's rust and wreckage now, buried in a forest you'll never find again. This is a different machine. Same model, same engine. Different everything. Her fuselage is clean, her paint is fresh. No scratches, no scars. She's untouched, and you're not. A mechanic nods at you. Welcome back. You say nothing. Just run a hand along the wing. Cold, steel, smooth. You want to feel something. A spark, a connection. That old thrill that used to pulse through your chest the moment you touched a cockpit. But all you feel is the echo of absence. Because this plane, she doesn't know you. And the sky didn't ask you to return. It just allowed it. You climb into the seat. Fingers find switches, levers, dials. You move by memory, not instinct. Instinct doesn't trust this anymore. You strap in. Helmet, oxygen, harness. The ground crew clears you, engine primed. Throttle set. You pause before ignition, and in that pause, you realise something. You're not scared, you're not excited. You're waiting. Waiting for the sky to decide whether it forgives you. Because you fell from it once. You burned. You bled. And now you're asking to be let back in. You flip the switch. Engine roars. Props spin, wheels tremble. You taxi to the runway. The air is clear, wind's light. Perfect conditions. But there's no such thing as perfect anymore. Not for you, you sit at the edge. Wheels ready, heart not. Radio crackles. You're clear for takeoff. You don't respond. Just push the throttle forward. The plane surges. The runway screams beneath you. Wind slams your helmet like a hand trying to push you down. You pull back on the stick. And for a moment, just a moment, you rise. You're airborne, but not free. Because the sky remembers. It remembers how you fell. How you begged the ground not to take you. How you clawed your way out of trees and blood and silence just to end up here again. And now that you're back, it doesn't welcome you. It watches, judges, tests. Your hands tremble slightly. You level off. Standard altitude, standard route. Nothing unusual, but everything's wrong. The sun's in your eyes. The clouds look like smoke. The wind whispers in your ear with a voice that sounds like Mark's. You don't belong here anymore. You try to focus, checklist, instruments, fuel, horizon, all clear. But that's not what matters. What matters is what you feel. And what you feel is this. The sky doesn't forgive. It offers lift, yes, but not grace. It gives you altitude, but not trust. And every second you're up here, it's waiting for you to mess up, to slip, to fall again. And maybe this time, it won't give you a tree to break your fall. Maybe this time it just takes you whole. You circle once. Radio in. Mission complete, returning to base. They don't ask why. They just confirm. You bring her down smooth. Touchdown light. Wheels kiss the runway. You taxi in. Kill the engine. Climb out. The mechanic greets you again. How was she? You shrug. Quiet. He grins. Quiet's good. You want to say no, it isn't. But you don't. You just walk away. Helmet in hand. Because flying isn't home anymore. It's a language you still speak, but one you're no longer fluent in. And the sky, it won't punish you. Not yet. But it won't forget. And if you ask it for mercy a second time, don't expect an answer. They give you a cot again, this time with a desk beside it. Small, wooden. Wobbles if you lean too hard on the left side. There's a notepad, a pencil with bite marks, a blank envelope. That's the army's way of saying, you should write someone. You sit, stare at the paper. The lines run straight and silent across the page. You used to know how to start these. Dear Mum. Hey there, kiddo. To my girl back home. Now? Now none of it feels right. You haven't written anything since before the crash. Your hands still remember the weight of a gun better than a pen. But you pick it up anyway, because there are things you haven't said, things you might never get to say. So you start. Not carefully, not beautifully, just honestly. Dear Mum, I'm alive, but I'm not the same. I don't know how to explain what happened, except to say that I saw parts of the world where even the sky didn't reach. I think about your kitchen, the way it smelled like flour and forgiveness. I miss that. I miss you. But if I walk through the door right now, I don't think you'd recognize what got off the train. I wouldn't blame you. Love, your son, you fold it. Put it aside. Don't address the envelope, because you're not going to send it. You pick up the pencil again. New page. Dear Jensen, I don't know if that was your name. I never asked. You flew beside me once, smiled in the ready room like you weren't scared. When you went down, you didn't scream. But I did. I'm sorry I didn't find you. I hope you hit the trees fast and didn't feel it. You deserved better than fire and silence. A guy who remembers another page, another breath. This one's harder. You wait. Then write anyway. Dear Mark, you probably don't read English. Doesn't matter. This isn't for you, it's for me. You didn't have to help me, but you did. You gave me bread and purpose and orders like they mattered. You didn't flinch when I froze. You didn't celebrate when I left. And that meant more than any medal ever could. I hope you're still out there. But I know better than to hope too hard. Merci. The pencil dulls. You sharpen it with a knife. Keep going. You write one to the boy with the carved plane. You never knew his name, but he knew how to build wings out of nothing. You write one to the woman in the stone house. You tell her you still have the bandage she wrapped your hand with. You write one to yourself. To the version of me that believed flying was freedom. I'm sorry. You were wrong, but you were brave. That counts for something. By the time you stop, it's past midnight. Your hand aches. The desk is covered in pages. Some folded, some scratched out. Some left wide open like wounds that never closed. You don't burn them. You don't file them. You just leave them. Because maybe that's all you can do. Let them exist. Let the words be said somewhere, even if no one hears them. You lie back on the cot. Close your eyes. Still can't sleep, but you don't need to, because tonight you emptied something. Not everything, but something. For now. There's no parade, no banner, no handshake waiting at the end of the runway. You land. You disembark. You return. But no one welcomes you. Because surviving, that's not a headline. Dying is. Exploding mid-air. Shot down in flames. Your picture on a memorial wall, your name stitched into some mother's pillow. That's a legacy. But limping home, covered in mud, eyes hollow, voice cracked from shouting warnings no one heard. That's just logistics. You're a body that came back, and they're too busy sorting the next ones out to notice. So you blend in, walk the halls of the barracks like a shadow no one salutes. A few guys recognize your name from the missing list. Hey, thought you were dead. You shrug. Me too. They laugh. You don't. Not because you're bitter. Because you get it. You weren't heroic. You didn't pull anyone out of a burning wreck. You didn't take out a bunker or crash land to save a village. You just survived. And in a war this big, survival's quiet. It doesn't come with a soundtrack. Just dust. And forms. And long stares over cold meals. You get reassigned to a different flight group. They stick you in orientation. You sit in a metal chair while a man with a pointer stick explains new protocols. You stare past him. Outside, a plane lifts off. You hear the engine rise. You used to feel something at that sound. Now it just makes your jaw clench. Questions? The officer asks. You don't raise your hand. No one does. They send you back to your quarters. You lie down on the cot and stare at the ceiling. You think about the boy with the plane, the woman who gave you bread, the scarred man who never asked you to be a hero, just not to be a coward. They'll never get a medal. They'll never get a letter from a general. They'll just keep moving through forests and cellars, dodging spotlights and betrayal while men in pressed uniforms write reports about territory gains. And you're here, alive. clean-shaven, re-equipped. Someone even handed you a new flight suit yesterday, like that makes you whole again. But there's still a part of you that didn't make it back. You left it in a ditch, in a barn, in the silence between two gunshots. They'll tell your story wrong someday. They'll say you flew a mission, went down, and were recovered. Recovered. Like a piece of lost equipment. Not a person. They won't say you bled into your gloves, that you forgot your own name for 2 days, that your hand still twitches when someone lights a match too close. Because that stuff, that's not war, that's after. And after doesn't get applause. It gets ignored. You step outside. The sun's low. The hangar casts a long shadow across the field. You light a cigarette you bummed off a guy whose name you never asked for. The smoke curls upward, dances in the air, disappears. You watch it, and for a second you imagine that's what survival really is. Not triumph, not return, just not vanishing. Wah. You're still here, still walking Nanua, still breathing. And nobody claps, but that's okay. You didn't survive for them. You survived for the ones who didn't. And that's enough. It's not the fabric. It's the feeling. You pull on the flight suit, new, freshly laundered, the scent of starch still clinging to the seams, and it slides over your skin like it used to. But something's off. Too tight at the wrists, too stiff at the collar. Like you're wearing a stranger's skin. You zip it halfway, catch yourself in the mirror. You look like a soldier, but you don't feel like one. You feel like a man who was stitched back together in a ditch by firelight with thread made of fear and favours. A man who learned to whisper orders because shouting would get someone killed. A man who hasn't saluted anyone in weeks because the people who saved his life didn't have ranks. And now they want you to stand up straight again, to tuck your shirt in, to say, "Yes, sir," like your voice doesn't crack every time you hear boots on gravel behind you. You walk to the mess hall. Line up like everyone else. The tray is hot. The food is warm. It's more than you ate on the run. But it tastes like cardboard. You sit at the edge of a table. A few new pilots laugh near the centre. You watch them. They joke like it's all still fun. They talk about girls, cigarettes, who got lucky with an assignment to the coast. You take a bite of mashed potatoes. It turns to ash in your mouth. One of them looks over. "You're the guy who went missing, right?" You nod. He grins. "Hell of a story. Must have been wild." You shrug. He waits for more. You don't give it to him, because whatever he wants, adventure, romance, a movie in his head, you don't have it. What you have is nights shaking in your cot. Memories of hands covered in dirt holding yours while someone bled out. The sound of boots running away, not toward. Eventually he turns back to his tray. You finish eating. You don't taste any of it. Later, in the locker room, you suit up for a flight exercise. Mock run. Cloud layer test. Nothing fancy. The gear is all laid out. Parachute. Goggles. Gloves. You pick up the helmet. It feels heavier than it should. You slide it on. The chin strap doesn't sit right. You adjust it. Still wrong. You remember the one you wore in the Hawk? How it smelled like sweat and oil and the woman's soap from the farmhouse because she wiped it clean when you weren't looking? You take the helmet off. Set it down. Stare at the wall. Your reflection stares back from a dull locker door. Same face. Different weight behind the eyes. A sergeant walks in. 10 minutes to flight line. You good? You nod. Because that's what's expected. He leaves. You don't move. Because here's the thing. The uniform used to mean something. It meant duty, honour, belonging. Now, it's a costume. A thing you wear to keep others comfortable. A sign that says I'm fine, I'm functional, I'm back. But you're not. You're present, not back. There's a difference. And the more you wear the uniform, the more it chafes. Not just your skin, but your memory. Because it demands you forget. Forget the cellar, the gunfire, the feeling of running without a destination, just away. You put the helmet back on. Because it's time. Because that's the rule. But in the mirror, you don't look like a soldier. You look like a man playing dress-up in the ruins of his old life. And no matter how tight the collar, how straight the seams, how polished the boots, the uniform doesn't fit right anymore, because the body came back. But the man, he's still catching. You don't remember the exact moment that you leave. It wasn't dramatic. There was no folded letter. No major stepping forward to shake your hand. Just a clipboard. A line drawn through your name. A muttered, "You're cleared, transport's in the morning." That was it. You waited for the emotion. It didn't come. No relief. No joy. No triumph. Just quiet. Like a curtain lowering after a show no one clapped for. You packed in silence. One duffel. A few rations. Your jacket faded. Worn. Still carrying the smell of wood smoke and pine sap from the woods, where you stopped being a pilot and started being whatever this is now. You kept the patch, the one Mark gave you, still fraying at the edges, still warm in your hand. You didn't put it on your uniform, you folded it, slipped it into your breast pocket, close to your heart. You took one last walk across the flight line, engines sputtering in the distance, ground crews shouting, a plane lifting into the dawn. You didn't salute it, didn't watch it climb. You just turned and walked, because that part of your life, it didn't belong to you anymore. The truck out of base was half full. A few other men, nobody talking. You sat in the back, elbows on knees, watching trees blur past the window like memories you didn't ask for. One guy offered you gum. You took it, chewed without taste. An hour later you were dropped at the depot. Transport station. Grey walls. One chalkboard schedule. Nobody in uniform waiting. No one waiting at all. You sat on a bench, waited for your name. When they called it, you boarded the train. Wood seats, still windows. One engine that sounded too much like the Hawk at half throttle. You sat beside a civilian. Older man, glasses, reading a folded newspaper. He looked at your uniform once, nodded, then kept reading. Didn't ask. Didn't say thank you. Didn't know what to do with you. And you didn't blame him, because you didn't know either. At the next stop, a woman boarded with a child. The boy pointed at your medals, just 2. Whispered something. The mother shushed him. She smiled at you politely. You smiled back. But it didn't reach your eyes. Because this wasn't a hero's return. This was an exit. Quiet. Civil. Almost forgettable. You stepped off at the final station. A small town platform. Same one you left from months, maybe years ago. Same cracked boards. Same wind. Different man. You looked for someone waiting. There wasn't anyone. Just a cart vendor. A cat sunning itself. One flag hanging limp in the morning stillness. You picked up your bag. Started walking. Down the road. Past the houses. To the door you remembered, the door you used to knock on after school. After work. Before war. You raised your hand. Paused. Because behind that door, that's where the life you left still lives. Or at least pretends to. And the man standing on this porch? He's not the one who left. You knock. The door opens. A face you love. Eyes wide. Then arms. Then silence. Not the awkward kind. The kind that fills the whole house. The kind that says, I don't know who you are anymore, but I'm glad you're still breathing. You step inside. They ask if you're hungry. You say no. You sit. They say something about the garden, the neighbours, a radio show you used to like. You listen. You nod. You smile when you remember how. But inside, you're still crouched in that ditch, still listening for footsteps, still waiting for someone to yell your name and drag you back into the dark. There's no band, no speech, no banner that reads, "You made it." Just coffee and warm air. And the strange realization that home didn't wait for you to come back. It moved on. And now you have to decide. Can you move with it? Or are you still lost out there, somewhere between altitude and silence? You take a walk the day after you get home, down the street, past the church, past the grocery store where nothing has changed except the price of milk and the names on the window signs. People wave. You wave back. Some of them smile like they're glad to see you. Some look past you, unsure if they should recognize your face, or if it's just familiar from a framed photo in someone else's hallway. You don't blame them, because even you aren't sure who you are anymore. You cut through the park. The air smells like summer and dust. You sit on a bench, watch kids chase each other through the grass. Their laughter feels strange in your ears, too high, too clean, like a sound from another planet. You glance at your hands, still scarred, still whole. You think about everything you've done with them, piloted, aimed, carried, buried. You think about the people they touched, some to help, some to say goodbye. And then you remember something simple. This was just one day. The mission, the crash, the forest, the barn, the escape. It wasn't a campaign, wasn't an invasion, wasn't even a full chapter in the history books. Just 24 hours. And it almost killed you. It changed your face. It changed your silence. It changed your ability to sit in the sun without thinking of smoke. And then you wonder, how many other days like that happened? To other men, in other places, in planes with different names and radios in different languages. You think of them all, the ones who burned up before they could jump, the ones still walking through snow waiting for help that'll never come, the ones who flew and never landed. Each one a ghost folded into the quiet between airstrikes and newsreels. No stories, no credits, just names lost to time. You light a cigarette, let the smoke drift skyward. The sky's blue today, unbroken, calm. You stare at it and feel nothing, because you know what it's capable of. You know how easily it turns. You close your eyes, hear Mark's voice in the wind, see the boy's plane spinning through flame, smell pine needles and blood and the sharp stink of rubber burning against steel. Then it fades. You open your eyes. Just the park. Just the kids. Just another day that isn't trying to kill you. And that's the difference now. You don't chase meaning. You don't hunt for glory. You just continue. One breath, one step. Because survival isn't a story. It's a sentence. That was just one day in the life of a P-36 Hawk pilot. One mission, one crash, one night in enemy territory. But there were thousands of men just like him, and most of them didn't come back. Some never took off. Some disappeared over forests. Some made it home, quiet, changed, and unrecognizable to the world they returned to. So, when you see photos in museums, when you hear stories in documentaries, when you read names etched in stone, know this. Every one of them had a day like this. Maybe longer, maybe worse. And they carried it. Some forever. Thanks for listening. If you found this story powerful, or if you want to hear more like it, subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep telling the stories of the men who lived and the ones who didn't. Now, close your eyes. You're not on the ground anymore. You're in the sky. And the next 24 hours might be the last. Good night, and sleep well.